spent most of my time trying to understand what the point was. Wish that I had the time back that I spent reading this. I would not make my worst enemy read this. And I don't think I'm alone in hating this book. Didn't like the start, I didn't like the middle, and I certainly didn't like the end. Hi guys. Oh, hi baby, come here. Come here. Come here, Hazel. Hazel. Hi. Come say hi. Say hi. Okay, don't look. Okay. 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 She's excited. She's excited. I'm excited. Today, I wanted to talk about 5 books that I hated. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Many people loved some of these books, but I did not like them. I thought that they were, well, we'll get into each one specifically, but they didn't work for me. So I hated all these books, and that is my opinion. Fortunately, you asked for it when you clicked on this video. So here goes. Also, these are in no particular order. I don't think I've read any of these recently. Let me look. I have a list. Yeah, these are all, they were a few years ago, not within the past year or two. So the very first book on this list is The Death of Jane Lawrence by Caitlin Starling. I went into this book with really high hopes because it is gothic, horror, haunted house, tale, and I thought that it sounded like it could be really good. But it felt so fake and unbelievable. The romance in it felt like I just rolled my eyes the entire time. Like, this is such bullshit. Like, it's bullshit. They don't love each other. They don't like each other. Why would they? They don't know each other. They haven't spent any time together. It's so dumb. And then it's on this haunted house streak story. It's like a haunted house story, right? But it gets very metaphysical and stupid, basically. It's a dark mirror version of post-war England. Crimson Peak inspired is what the blurb said. I think that it did fall into that category, but the execution was not good. I hated it, and I wish that I had the time back that I spent reading this book. I'm glad that I didn't buy it. I borrowed it from my library, and thank God for that, because I probably would have burned it at the end, to be honest. The Death of Jane Lawrence. The second book is Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. This is a thriller, psychological thriller, in which it follows 2 main female characters. And so there's Louise and Adele. Adele is new in town, and she's in this really horrible marriage where he seems to control everything that she does. Adele and Louise kind of bump into each other, and they have this like unlikely friendship. And so the whole time you kind of think you know where this story is going. And that is the one thing I will say, is that I didn't see the ending coming, but when it did come, I wanted to punch this author in the face. It was just so disgusting and atrocious and ridiculous. I felt like this book was false advertising. I would not make my worst enemy read this book. It is that bad. I feel like when authors do this kind of twist ending that really just is so far out of left field and doesn't really make any sense, that they're just grasping for straws, trying to shock you, but with an ending that is nonsensical and just ridiculous and embarrassing, honestly. I feel like this author should be embarrassed to have published something so utterly stupid and ridiculous. The next book, and you'll notice that I don't have any physical copies to show you, because either I borrowed them from the library or I got rid of them as quickly as possible because I hated them, like I've said several times already. So the next book is Survive the Night by Riley Sager. And I don't think I'm alone in hating this book, because I do recall hearing several people say that this book was such a waste of time. It really is. It is a waste of time. It doesn't make any sense. It's predictable and it's absurd and convoluted, really. I mean, it's about this girl who her friend has been killed by a serial killer. So she's desperate to get home, to leave the university where this crime has taken place. But yet she decides to take a ride with a complete stranger. Does that make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. So all that happens, and most of it happens in the car, and she's imagining all these things and picking up like discrepancies in this guy's story, and it was the worst. I hated it, and I will never read another Riley Sager book because of this. It was that bad, and I think that, again, okay, that's all I'm gonna say. It was bad. It was horrible. Don't read it. Do yourself a favor, okay? The next book, book number 4, is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. First of all, I probably should have known better than to read this book because it is about a Hollywood movie star, and that's not really my thing. I don't care about Hollywood stars. I should have foreseen the fact that I would not like the characters in this book, and I didn't. The main character, Evelyn Hugo, is so unlikable and despicable. Even the other main character, who you should like, I didn't like her either. I was so, like... To be so despicable and selfish and self-centered, to have the other character not be redeemable enough to make up for that difference is just, it makes for a bad situation, a bad book. And not only that, but it had a weak ending. The twist ending was predictable, and I knew what was going to happen. And the writing itself was just bland, and no. Just a big fat freaking no. I hated it. And the last book on this list, and I might get burned at the stake for this because I know that this book has a pretty strong following of people that really love it and have reread it and think that it's like a classic, but I hated it, and that is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. This is a weird fantasy story in which the main character is trapped in this building with rooms that are infinite and corridors that are endless, just like the descriptions, okay? The tiresome descriptions of halls and statues and rooms. It was so far-fetched and just weird, and I spent most of my time trying to understand what the point was. I didn't feel like the characters' motivations were very clear or defined. It just felt so open-ended and aimless and just nonsensical. Again, I didn't like the start, I didn't like the middle, and I certainly didn't like the end. And I had high hopes for this book, but I think that's even worse, is when you go into a book with high hopes and it lets you down completely. And this book did. I hated it. It sucked. I don't even feel like it had a good message behind it. I just felt like it was so utterly pointless. Okay, so those are the 5 books that I hated. I would not recommend them to you. I think that you can make up your mind for yourself. Tell me, what are some books that you hated that everybody else seemed to love? I feel like this is a common occurrence. I'm not an outlier here. Share with me the books that you hated. Is that too much negativity on my channel? No, I think it's just honest, right? Not every person is going to vibe with every book, and that's normal and that's fair. And I think we are all entitled to our own opinions and our own perspectives when it comes to what is good in books and what is not. Don't be offended by this, because I'm sure that if you loved it, you had your reasons, and to each their own. But for me, these books fell flat. They didn't deliver, and I was very disappointed in some of them. So that's gonna wrap it up, and I'm really glad that you clicked on the video, though. I hope you at least had some fun, or maybe laughed at my annoyance with these books. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Pardon me, excuse me. I'm like all up on this wall. Okay, for me. And I thought it would be fun to just talk about them. Okay, that's stupid. Husbands of Evelyn.
allergy season.